You all can remain seated. Let's sing Find a Stillness. It's 352 in the gray hymnal, and the words will be projected. In a few moments, I'll be reading a poem, Blessings on a Threshold, by John Donahue. For some of you who may not wish to meditate, I invite you to listen to the words and the space between the words in this poem. And for those of you who wish, you might enter a time of meditation as you listen. Let us turn inward and feel the rhythm of our breathing. Feel it enter and leave your body, in and out. And find peace just by breathing, by feeling the flow of the air going in and out of your body. Now is the time of invitation, crossing a frontier you did not expect. Abruptly, your old life seems distant. You barely noticed how each day opened a path through fields never questioned, yet expected deep down to hold a treasure. Now the question looms larger than all that is known, and what was expected has slipped from sight. As you pause on the threshold of teetering uncertainty, may grace come to restore you to balance. May it shape a new space in your heart, to embrace this change in your life as a teacher who has come to you in your life to open you to new worlds. May you find in yourself a courageous hospitality toward what is difficult, painful, unknown. May you learn to use this change as a lantern to illuminate the new qualities that are emerging within you. May the fragile harvesting of this slow light help to release whatever has become false within you. May you trust this light to clear a path through all the fog of old unease and anxiety, until you feel arising within you a tranquility profound enough to calm the storm within you to stillness. Jean Henry Faber was a physicist, a chemist, and a botanist. That last discipline explains why he had grounds to dislike caterpillars. Among his little nemesis was the pine processionary, which gets the first part of its name from the pine needles that it eats, and the second part of its name from the little processions of a group that follow a group leader. As you can see it there, they're following their group leader. Each night they would come out, eat, feast on, unfortunately, Faber's plants, and then go back to their nest. And one day in February, Faber noticed that a column of caterpillars had made their way along the rim of his potted plant. And he watched. They laid down these little silk trails, which Faber initially believed was how they followed each other around. Actually, the pine processionaries follow their own scent, not the silk. And he figured that out, and so as they made their loop around, he washed off the side of the pot where they would come to find their way back home. So the only scent they had to follow was the scent right in front of them. And then he waited. For 8 days, these caterpillars traveled around the pot of his plant in some kind of death march, not eating, not sleeping. And after that 8 days, Faber became a little guilty, felt a little sorry for them, put a branch on the rim of the pot so that the caterpillars could find their way off the pot. My friends, we all have a tendency to get caught in loops. Worry, it's like spinning around the rim of a pot, never-ending thoughts going through our minds, round and round and round. Guilt can do that, shame, anxiety, sadness, never-ending circles of negative thoughts and feelings. How do we break out of this circle of negative thinking? Well, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Oh, you who are going around in circles, please stop. What are you doing that for? I can't be without going because I don't know where to go. That's why I go in circles. Oh, you who go in circles, please stop. But if I stop going, I will stop being." Oh, my friend who is going in circles, you are not one with this crazy business of going in circles. You may enjoy going, but not in circles. Where do I go? Go where you find your beloved, where you can find yourself. So where do we go to get off the rim of the container of life and find ourselves, as Thich Nhat Hanh would suggest? Well, I think some of us go out in nature. You heard the story. There are places all over that you can go. Your favorite trail, your man cave or she shack. You know, we all got places. Cuddling with my pet dog or cat. We need those places. One way we can come back to ourselves is to create a sanctuary within ourselves. A place that is safe, peaceful, a place connected to what is most deeply within us, who we are, where we can think through difficult decisions, consider our options, or just be quiet and alone. You know, you can create such a place with what's called a journey meditation, and we're going to experiment with that in just a moment. Some do this by creating an image of a place where they can go, like a nature or a meadow or a forest or a beach, some image they can hold in their mind. Some people want more security, and they might view their sanctuary as a castle, or maybe some place within their home that they feel particularly secure. Some people create an image of being in a place where people that they love and trust are gathered. And some find a place where they feel most connected to their God or goddess or sense of the divine. So I'm going to give you an option right now. For those who wish to, I'm going to invite you to try to figure out where your inner safe place is, what it looks like. So if you want to, you can close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. And I don't want you to struggle with this. I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to see or feel or experience whatever it is you think is your sanctuary, that inner place inside. It might be a feeling, it might actually be a picture like in nature or many other things. But see what you find there. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Does it feel safe? A place you could be with yourself inside. Okay, come on back. I encourage you to revisit that place from time to time. See where it is in you and spend the time necessary to foster and grow that place so you have access to it. Let me share a poem. Sapphire, diamond, emerald, quartz. Think of everything hard that carries its own brilliance, shining with the luster that comes only from uncountable ages. Uncountable ages in the dark, in the earth, buried beneath unimaginable weight, bearing what seems impossible and bearing it still. And you shouldering, shouldering the grief you have had inside that seems so solid, so impenetrable. A burden that you have carried now becomes a beginning. See how the sorrow within you slowly makes its own light, how it conjures its own fire. I tell you this blazing that is inside you, it does not come by choosing the most difficult way, the most daunting. It does not come by sheer force of will. It comes from the helpless place inside you. That place that despite all cannot help but hope. The part of you that does not know how to not turn toward the world. To keep turning your face toward the sky. To keep turning your heart toward this unendurable earth. Knowing that your heart will break, but turning toward it at still. And I tell you this because this is how the stars get in your bones. This is how the brightness makes a home in you as you open to the hope that burnishes every fractured thing it finds and sets it shimmering. A generous light that will not cease no matter how deep the darkness grows, no matter how long the night becomes. So here's the thing that I believe. We all need to find a way to connect with what's inside of ourselves, our inner self. When there is darkness, when the night seems to last forever, when we feel grief or hurt or guilt or shame, we need to find that place within that will not let us turn away from the light or from other people or from the world. There is something in me, I know, that won't give up, won't let my negative feelings consume me, keeps me from feeling completely helpless and hopeless. There is a heart space within myself where I feel most connected with my inner strength, my spiritual well-being, my inner resources. Now, I know there are times in all of our lives when we can forget that there are reserves within us, reserves of inner strength or resources, times when we lose connection to something larger than ourselves, and that this is especially true when we're bearing what seems dark, an unimaginable weight, something that seems impossible to bear. So I want to invite you again into a moving meditation that I hope will be useful to you in grounding yourself, in connecting with that inner space inside of strength, that wellspring of reserves and resources that is in you. Now, you don't have to participate in this if you don't wish. It's a moving meditation. You're all invited, whether you... And if you don't wish to participate, please just sit and be quiet and let the rest of the folks participate in this. And if you are unable to stand comfortably, please just follow along, and you can use the arm movements that we will talk about during the exercise. But for those who wish to and can stand comfortably, please stand. This is my lovely assistant. She will be a model for us. So, you don't have to close your eyes, but take a deep breath and just kind of feel comfortable on your feet. You might bend your knees a little bit. And however you wish to do it, imagine in front of you is your inner wellspring, your sanctuary, that innermost part of yourself where there are resources. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Now, as it is in front of you, I ask you to take a tiny step toward it with your right foot and reach toward it with your left hand. And then come back to center. Slowly turn to your right. Take a tiny step with your left foot and reach out with your right hand, reaching toward that inner wellspring. Now come back to center. And turn right. Now slowly take a tiny step with your right foot and reach out with your left hand. Reaching toward that inner self, that resource within. Now come back to center. And turn to your right again. Take a tiny step with your left foot and reach out with your right hand. Reach toward that wellspring. Now come back to center and face forward. To balance your system, we're going to do this in the opposite direction. So let's start with taking a tiny step with your left foot and reaching out with your right hand, reaching toward that wellspring of strength, of safety, of resources within yourself. Now come back to center. Turn to your left. Take a tiny step with your right foot and reach out with your left hand, reaching for that wellspring. Now come back to center and turn left. Take a tiny step forward with your left foot and reach out with your right hand. And come back to center. Turn left. Take a tiny step with your right foot and reach out with your left hand. Come back to center. Take one more left, which brings you facing forward. And let's take one more step with your left foot and right hand. Hold that for just a moment. Notice what connection you feel. Come back to center, let your arms be at your side, and notice how you're feeling. For some, they experience some tension in their bodies. For some, a little extra energy. Some feel grounded. Whatever it is, notice how you feel. And if you need to move around a little bit and shake off some of the tension or energy, go ahead and do so. And then when you're ready, you can be seated. This is another way that you can connect with what is inside, to find that inner sanctuary, to draw on the reservoir of resources you have within, to find the hope when you feel hopeless, the strength when you feel weak, the connection to something outside of yourself when you feel isolated. There is a peace within, a space for discernment within. When we lose track of that, it's important for us to remember it's there, to seek it out, and then to spend a little time with ourselves.
We are a transcending religion and welcome you in our space, sanctuary. A beautiful garden encompasses the space where we gather. It awaits you, sanctuary. When you need to clear your head, you can find peace and tranquility here, sanctuary. No matter the path you are on, you are free to be who you are, sanctuary. All that we are and will be is grown and shared in our sanctuary. This morning's offering will now be given and received.
We've run just a little bit over, so I'm going to invite you to join me in singing one verse of our closing hymn, From All the Fret and Fever of the Day, and I will extinguish our chalice, and we will go back out into the world. Through the many relationships we foster here in this church, including the relationship with ourselves, we have the opportunity to grow in wisdom, in compassion, and in the joy of living. And I invite you to turn around and greet one another. Let us share the love of this community with one another.